And I jotted down a few things here where I can remember from my own experience that the Senate was in session and just about everybody was there. And almost without exception, when the Senate goes into executive session, that is, excludes staff, and goes into a secret session, excludes the press, everybody's there. And I sit there and marvel at that. Nice, cozy feeling. Everybody's there. And the proceeding is far less formal. Rules are far less rigidly imposed. People interrupt other people, speak in the first person, which offended Bob Byrd in the tape over here. And sometimes it's not in very flattering terms, but everybody's there, and it's a good general give and take in executive sessions. But that's the Senate at its very best. When people are there, staff is not whispering your ear. You're not talking from prepared notes. Gosh, I envy the British Parliament, the House of Commons, where you cannot have staff on the floor. You cannot read from prepared text. That would be wonderful, in my view. It also would greatly shorten the proceedings. To the next point about where is the real work of the Senate done, a lot of it was done in my office, and I'm sure it was done in George Mitchell's office and Bob Byrd's office before that. And I'll take 30 seconds to tell you how that works. Every Monday, I convened all my committee chairmen around one big table in my office. And in effect, we had a big old auction. Committee chairman would say what it was they wanted to bring up for the next month, where they wanted floor time. And they'd all bicker about whether this was more important or that was more important. But finally, I would make up a schedule. And I'd take it over to Bob Byrd down the hall. And I'd say, Bob, this is what I'm going to do. And sometimes he would really get exercised about something. If he did, we'd sit down and try to work it out. But by the time we got to the floor, we had built a schedule that almost nobody could assail.
It's, any questions from the floor? Mm-hmm. Baker, there seems to be some inconsistency between you're seeing the Senate at its best during executive session and then wanting the public in on the act. Now, is there some way that at least a permanent record of the executive session could be somehow or other kept on television but closed, so that it could be locked up for 30 years or something, so that the give and take could be something that we could appreciate, if not immediately, down the road when its sensitive nature was over?
Well, Senate television does that, but the official reporter for the Congressional Record does keep a transcript, and that transcript is under seal and jealously guarded. I don't know what declassification procedure is for that either, but that record does exist. And as far as I know, and I believe I'm right, there's no authority to revise or extend your remarks in executive session, so you have a sure enough record of what actually happened.
I think it's never opened and available to senators in the future, if I'm not mistaken.
That's probably right. I just don't recall. But anyway, it should be open. Your point was at some point it should be available for scholarly research, and I think that's right. I think if it's national defense matter, national security matter, as soon as you can declassify that, it should be made a public record instead of a confidential record.
Senator Baker, do you think the executive sessions are overused so that more of the debates could be made available without endangering security or the feeling by senators that they can speak freely?
Yeah, I guess I have an ambivalence about that. I think the example of the executive session, that is to say, more give and take, and with all the chairs filled, is much to be desired. On the question of whether it's overused in terms of national security and classification, I simply can't tell you that. But